Nice you met, Joe. I don't know where it is. It's down here.
Everybody ready? Y'all ready?
Can you give us 1 second?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Dr. Mason as well.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. And I think it's after that. Right here it is. Let me get to the first page. Okay. Now, I don't know how to enlarge this on here. That's a search. Better. But again, it was what she sent me. She resent me, and it was like a hard copy. It wasn't out of the program. So I think she rescanned it because it said it's the resolution. So I couldn't see. But anyway, we'll cross that. All right, that's all right. Yeah. Thanks for. Well, I just wanted to. I wanted to ask that here instead of.
I understand.
Okay.
I'm
Gotcha.
sorry about
What? It's funny.
Y'all ready?
It happens.
Everybody ready? Good evening. I would like to welcome everybody to the October Elizabethton City Schools Board meeting. Very happy to have everybody here. Just glad y'all came out. Mr. Simmerly, thank you for coming as our liaison. Always a delight to have you. If everybody would please stand, and if Dr. Gardner, if you would lead us to a moment of silence and pledge.
Let's have our moment of silence. Thank you. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It's now time for citizens to speak in accordance with Board Policy 1.404. We didn't have anybody request to be added to the agenda, so we will move on to approve the consent and regular agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Anybody have any questions or comments on the consent or regular agenda? Okay, hearing none. Item on the floor is to approve consent and regular agenda. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Gardner?
Okay, I'm going to yield most of my time this evening to Joe Alessandrello and Vigilon. I know that you're aware that we received a large grant, and we had a lot of folks work on that, and read off the names in a second. But we're going to let them come and show us what we're getting and some of the reasons why it was beneficial for us to have this in our school system.
Thank you. I'm just going to, my name is Joe Alessandrello. I'm with Central Technologies, and I've got Chris Wingo here from Vigilon, the manufacturer's rep of the solution that we're talking about. Just a couple quick things here. This is a video surveillance solution as well as access control, so secure access at all your doors where all these systems work together. This is something that's very easy to search for video. So if there's any principals out here that have had to search for video, you can do any kind of video search within about 15 seconds. All of the training, we will come in, we will do on-site training for the technical staff here at the school district, SROs, principals, and any other people that may need some training. So Chris will probably be the one to come do that, but we kind of tag team those things. So just want to let you guys know that purchasing a Vigilon is a common thing that's happening here in Tennessee. At least 80% of the school districts in Tennessee use the solution that we're talking about tonight. Okay, so I'm going to let Chris do a quick demo of the solution, and thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate y'all having me here tonight. Again, my name is Chris Wingo with Avigilon. I'm a regional sales manager based out of Knoxville, cover the East Tennessee area, including Knoxville, the Tri-Cities, and Chattanooga. I wanted to just spend a few minutes tonight just kind of letting you know a little bit of history about Avigilon and what we're about. So Avigilon is a Motorola solutions company, and basically what we do is we focus our attention on what events matter in your security and access control system. We're a complete surveillance, access control, and video analytic platform. We are an open management software. We have superior self-learning analytics, access control, and high-definition cameras. One of the things I always like to point out, especially in this time in the world that we're going through as a nation, that we are made in America. We're actually headquartered out of Plano, Texas, and everything that is shipped into North America is made in Plano, Texas, down to the chip level. So a couple reasons why we do that is local expertise, quality control, and then also ship times. We don't have any long lead times for product or anything like that, so we can get product to our partners and our end consumers fairly quickly. A lot of people ask me, where do you see Avigilon? And y'all might have heard of Avigilon being in the school systems. Avigilon's everywhere. Our main verticals are education. Like Joe talked to you earlier just a few minutes ago, within the state of Tennessee, we have a very strong presence in education, not only K through 12, but also higher ed. We're in all Hamilton County schools, all of Johnson City schools in this area. We just are doing an deployment down the road at ETSU, doing a software and a Avigilon deployment for the whole campus at East Tennessee State University. We're the city standard for the city of Memphis, so we're in that government infrastructure too. Healthcare, we're really big in. We just were able to start closing some opportunities with a big company called HCA out of Nashville, and then retail and casinos. If you've ever been to a movie theater by the name of AMC or Regal, based out of Knoxville, we do all the cameras for that location nationwide. Customers ask me, well, why should I choose Avigilon? Because there are a lot of aspects or a lot of other brands on the market. Basically, it's our business model. Our business model is very unique when it comes to the software and video security application. We don't require any annual licensing fees. So basically what that means to you is when you get together and you get your budget for, I need X amount of cameras and X amount of licenses, that next year Avigilon's not going to come to you and say, in order for your license or your cameras to be working, we're not going to charge any reoccurring fees. We don't have any software maintenance agreements, so we're not going to say that you have to stay with Avigilon for X amount of time, or we're not going to sit there and say we're not going to help technical support wise or anything with our product unless you sign something. So we don't tie you down to anything. I think this is really huge, especially when you look at the school system itself. We don't charge we have unlimited clients. So when you look at your school, you look at all the people that might be using the video application, you're going to be able to download the software and have access to those users for free. We're not going to say the first 5 are free or the first 10 or charge per user. So you could have as many users at your school locations. You could have principals, admins, SROs have the ability to have that system downloaded at no charge. No resolution limits. A lot of software manufacturers on the security side will have a resolution limit to 6 or 8 megapixels. We don't have any resolution limits. One thing Avigilon is very, very big on is helping you be more proactive with your video system versus being reactive. And the way we do that is with our artificial intelligence and analytics. I like to say we have a couple of different line of cameras. We have a standard line, and then also what we call our HA line, which is our analytic line. They're basically smart cameras that allow that camera to start recording on human movement, car movement. So you get a lot less false alarms and false recordings with Avigilon. Support and training. I think this is very huge, and Joe just kind of capped on it real quick. In the state of Tennessee, I've got a partner in Nashville, my regional sales director for Tennessee, North, and South Carolina is located in Knoxville. Then also have a sales engineer that's located in the Plateau area. What this means for you all is we don't charge for training. So once a year, every other year, initially, whenever we need to do training, we will assemble a team to come out and train. Not only maybe people at the board, but also at the individual schools and the SROs. I was out a couple of weeks ago in the Plateau and Cumberland County area training SROs on our software. Went over training. Customer service, we do have a 24/7 tech support line that anybody within the school system can call into if they have questions. We don't ask you for a customer number or a maintenance agreement or anything like that. That is totally free. We do offer a 3-year warranty on our cameras and recording devices, and actually that's going to be up to a 5-year warranty starting in January of 2020 on our new line of cameras that we have coming out. So you'll be able to take advantage of having, not just a 3-year warranty, but on the majority of cameras, having that 5-year warranty at no extra charge. Mobile device, I think this is big, especially when we look at, how we're all on the move nowadays. Any one of y'all could go right now and download our mobile app from the App Store, the Avigilon ACC mobile app. It's free for download. As many as your employees in the school system that you allow to download or have access to it can have access to it. Again, I know I kind of sound a little bit redundant, but no extra fees or anything for that availability. I'm getting ready to go in and show you some of our software. It's called Avigilon Control Center. I'm going to nickname it ACC because that's kind of the short abbreviation for it. A couple things that I'm going to show you is how very granular it is. With our software, you can set permissions and let somebody have either a grain of salt, or if they're an admin, they can have the whole salt shaker. What does this mean to you all as a school system? Maybe you have certain areas where you want people to just see live video only. You don't want them to see recorded. You don't want them to be able to download video, export video, or get it anywhere else. Or maybe you need somebody, your principals need to have full available rights to live and recorded videos. So we can be very granular, and it's very easy to set those permissions. We also do have a unified access control platform that will assist with keeping your schools safe with automatic access control to doors. That access control platform integrates into our video platform at no charge. So we could sit there and have a video associated with the front door, and every time somebody badged in or badged out, we'd have a recording of that badging in or badging out of that front door. We could see if people are letting other people in, or if people are badging in and then not waiting for the door to close and somebody piggybacking in on that first person that badged in. And again, also with our access control platform, there is no annual licensing fees. I always like to bring up this slide because, kind of in the security world, you get kind of in a megapixel, what's the best type of camera. We have a camera for every situation to assist with your needs, whether it be this 3 megapixel mini dome that's a very cost-effective device, or this product right here, which is called a multi-sensor. This camera right here has the ability to have up to 4 different lenses in that camera. We can manipulate those lenses, and we can have up to 4 different views for a 180, 270, or a 360 degree view. We're seeing a lot of these on corners of buildings and schools, and also other deployments. What this means to you is this is actually 1 camera housing. It's 1 drop. It's only 1 license, but you get 4 individual cameras out of it. So very, very, very neat technology. This right here is one of our pro cameras. I don't know how many of y'all have been to the University of Tennessee to see a football game lately, but they can zoom in and read lettering on your shirt almost wherever you're at in the stadium. And how we do that is utilize a 30 megapixel pro camera, and the bowl at Neyland has approximately 10 cameras zooming in at the bowl at all time. I like to show this slide, like I said, because we have a camera for every need. We know that you don't need high megapixels everywhere. Some areas you need more, so we can definitely fit that within your scope. One of the things that sets us apart from a lot of our competition is that we have unusual motion detection within all of our cameras. So our cameras will be able to learn that scene. They'll start recording on if something's unusual about that scene. Say, for instance, at one of your schools, and maybe it's 12 a.m. at night, and there's a certain area of the school that they're not used to seeing 5 or 6 or 7 people loitering, gathering at night. It'll start recording on that, so you can come in the next morning and say, hey, let me see what happened overnight. And instead of searching through hours of video, you can search through little sections and figure out what was unusual about your scene overnight. Real quick, I'm going to show you what our platform looks like. And give me 1 second here. This is what our platform looks like. Right now we're actually looking, well, yeah, I'm looking at PowerPoint. How about that? Sorry about that. There we go. All righty. What we're looking at right now is our, okay, hold on. Something just, now we should. Something went on with the projector here. I did come and test this before at 3:30 today, and everything worked fine.
Got it. I got it.
You got it. Hold on 1 second here. All right. All right, there we go. Okay, so this is what our software looks like. This is what your users within the school system will be looking at. This is called ACC. This frame right here can be divided up into 64 different ways. Of course, however you grant permissions to certain people in the school district, they might only be able to see 2 or 3. Very granular. As I said, we could set this up any way that you want. All these cameras are right here on the right side are all of our cameras. One thing I like to point out is integration with first responders. To me, that's huge. I have children that are 10 and 14 in Knox County school systems, and they use a mapping feature that's free, so first responders can easily see where cameras are located, because first responders, they really are very cognizant about direction. You know, hey, I know we got something happening on the northwest side of the building. They might not know every camera name. So this is a mapping feature that we have uploaded into our software that's free. And as you look at this map and you scroll over it, it'll show you a picture of that camera. So perhaps, you know, there might be some type of active situation where first responders need to look at a camera and they know it's the camera on the north, you know, right side of the building. They can simply hover over it and see a live view. And then they can even double click in it and go even further. I also like to pull up this right here. This is what we call a video intercom. A lot of y'all are probably familiar with maybe a device called an A-phone or some other type of push button entryways within the school. This is a video intercom that Avigilon manufactures that integrates, of course, with access control and our video system. You could have this up and you could have your front desk staff being able to let people in just through the software. All they have to do is click door access. Watch when I scroll in on this, though. This is really the amazing thing. I'm scrolled out, but I can scroll in and really get detail. And this is just a 3 megapixel camera. It's nothing, you know, extremely high powered, but we're seeing a lot of those pop up in school systems. One of the things that Avigilon does is not only do we take video from being, you know, from reactive to proactive, because we can set different types of alarms with our analytic cameras. Maybe at your schools you have back doors or back hallways that the SRO or the principal wants to know every time somebody is down that hallway. You can set a beam crossing with our cameras and our analytic cameras, and every time somebody crosses that beam, it can sound out an alert, a notification to you. That alert or notification could be something popping up on the screen, an email alert that ties into text. So there's a lot of different ways we can be proactive versus reactive with our video. One of the things that consumers really like about our video is how easy it is to search for video or to search for any type of footage. Down here on the bottom, you'll notice all the red. That's our timeline. That's everything that has been recorded on this camera. I'm going to take a situation real quick and say, for instance, well, maybe I'm not. I think they just took the demo site down. Can you believe that?
It does look like.
They just took the, right, so, promise you, I've been doing this for almost 3 years. So, and this doesn't surprise me because it is 7 p.m. It looks like that we constantly do updates to our demo site as we have new features and additions or software updates. My whole site just went down because they're most likely doing updates. So I'm going to show you a couple of neat little things that I've got already saved. A couple of clips so you can kind of see how our product works and looks. I'm going to show you a clip of the video intercom. I was at a school district back at the beginning of the year, and they asked me, how close can somebody get to this video intercom? How close can they get to certain type of cameras? I was like, well, let's go onto our demo site and have somebody walk out to our video intercom and show exactly how close that person can get to it. And in this video, you'll notice that they get within an arm's length away, and you can still see their knees all the way up to their head. This individual's David's approximately 5'10" or 5'11". So I just think this is a pretty interesting video because it shows the ability of our cameras. And I'm on the phone with this gentleman while I'm sitting with somebody doing a presentation as well. Notice here in a second, this gentleman right here in the sweater will get almost all the way up to, he'll get almost all the way up to the screen here. He goes, I'm an arm's length away. I'm arm's length away, and they get really close right here. If you'll notice right here, he's almost basically touching it. You can still see his pockets, his head, and if I scroll out, you can see everything else. If you notice this teal box around this gentleman right here, that teal box is indicating that our camera understands that that is a person. So that's one of our analytics that allows us to go and search. From here, if I had an active situation and I was looking for somebody with a black hair, blue shirt, brown pants, I could do what I call an appearance search. And I could search through those personal characteristics, and it would find where that individual went throughout my whole security system, through my whole cameras. So if you had a situation where you had maybe somebody that was on campus or some weird person that was on campus and maybe a student saw them and say, well, what were they wearing? You could quickly find that person versus spending hours or minutes looking through video. I also wanted to show you what a multi-sensor looks like. A multi-sensor would look like this. You have 4 individual heads looking into locations that record individually. And then also, this is another 360 camera that we use quite a bit. We'll see these used in maybe stairwells of your schools. Somewhere where you need to have kind of a 360 degree. A stairwell's very hard to cover when it looks, camera-wise. But we have the ability to have what we call a fisheye camera that we see very frequently in schools, that right now it's a 360 degree view, but we're able to actually manipulate and de-warp that view. And from there, we could actually divide this camera out into as many views as we'd like to. very useful. Use these in quite a few gymnasiums, depending how big they are, and then also cafeterias. And then also we have license plate recognition. I always like to bring that up because I'm seeing a lot of license plate recognition, meaning that schools are wanting to start recording license plates to make sure that we don't have any, offenders or anybody that's on campus. With our license plate recognition, we're able to take a camera and record license plates that come in and out of your school. We can whitelist those license plates or blacklist those license plates. I have a school system in Middle Tennessee that has quite a bit of custody battle with certain parents, and they use this to make sure that certain parents aren't on campus because unfortunately they're not allowed to be, within X amount of feet of the school zone. And I just want to show you a test that we did, and this is pretty impressive. We set this up at my regional sales director's house, and this is the worst scenario ever because this is about 400 yards from the road. We didn't angle the camera in very well, and cars are going about 45 miles an hour. I'm gonna come up here and search license plates, and these are all the hits that we got that day. I'm gonna pull up this one. And the license plate's reading 429THZ. Let's see what that is. Hopefully y'all be able to see it on the projector. You can still say it says 429THZ. Horrible location though. We were just playing around with the camera. If we were to tune that in, we would get a really good view. This is what amazes me about this is watch the grass and watch how fast this car was going. So we caught that license plate, horrible angle, didn't even really dial the camera in, but our camera was smart enough to know that that was 429THZ. Kind of in closing, I'd like to thank y'all for letting me come over and show you kind of what I'll call a 50,000 level view of Avigilon. We could really dig in and go over a lot of nuts and bolts. Like I said, there is a reason why we're, part of the standard city of Memphis. University of Tennessee uses us, and we appreciate the opportunity to come out here and protect your students and staff and community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just say a few more words
Yes.
About you all. Number one, thank you for making the time to be here tonight to share with our board.
Definitely.
It's about student safety, and that's why we wrote the grant. And
Exactly.
It really is going to help us in a lot of ways. I know there's different options with that, with the access control.
There is.
We can talk about that a little bit. But one of the key things that we've had for a lot of years is we've had two systems running our cameras. That's going to go into one. If you've been here long enough to know how many different doors we have, and the fact that they can be keyed to where teachers can then close themselves in to their room from the inside, that's a huge help.
Yes.
Also, on the other part of that, the system is smart where it can lock down based on certain things that happen. And we haven't really gotten into all those features, but it is very important for us that if we had an active situation, that it's smart enough to know maybe somebody has a firearm, it will lock everything down all at one time for us. So there's some pretty awesome features. The fact that the individual doors can be locked down from a remote location, that's also great. And the opportunity for us to work with our local police department and fire department. They in fact helped us with this grant, as well as these folks. I mean, just giving us, as subject matter experts, helping us look at what solution we would actually need for our school system. But I've included the grant that was written for all of you to read over and just take some time to look at it and what we're getting. The other part is, construction part is hardening entrances. We have some state money, about $80,000 in one pot, and this will give us an extra about $140,000 to be able to do hardening of entrances at 3 of our schools. So we're working on that currently, getting plans together to come to the board and talk with you about that. So we're just thankful to have it, and thank you all.
Thank you
Yep,
all.
definitely. Thank y'all.
And that was impressive that with that falling apart and you just kept going. So I know that's frustrating, but don't worry about it.
It's like Joe and I came, before just to make signal looked and everything, and it's like, okay, you roll with it. Just kind of also in closing, if y'all ever need anything, feel free to reach out to myself. Joe has all my contact information. Be more than happy to answer any other questions going forward, and look forward to working with you all.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. I wanted to take just a minute and thank the folks that wrote this grant, because this is amazing. Joey Trent, Richie Burrow, Jason Lancaster, Chief Shaw, Becca Price, Richard Van Huss. Thank you guys so much. This is, I don't have kids in the system anymore, but I just know that for families, and teachers, it's just such a great thing. And so we're very excited. So thank you all very much. And thank you guys for writing that grant. That's amazing. So, yay. If I had 1,000 points to give you, I'd give you all 1,000 points. So, Dr. D, you have anything else?
So,
Anybody have any questions or comments before we move on? All right. It's time for the to move on to the regular agenda. First item is approve the issuance of credit cards for the Elizabethton schools, city schools principals. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
basically with all the traveling we're doing, this will help us. Thanks, Ms. Wilson, for your crew down there working on this and getting that approved for us to be able to bring to the board.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
Is there certain restrictions on what can be used on these credit cards?
Yeah, Ms. Wilson?
I'm not sure are these just for travel?
Yes, they're travel. The same travel account restrictions that we've had. And they have to sign the restriction they come in and sign it out. Then they're able to use it, kind of like your board credit card. And it'll be the same account. You know, it's going to come out of, well, it'll be a different account for principals, but the same money for travel.
Controlled here at the school level, or is it?
Those will be, the account is a school account, correct?
All travel funds go through the central office, so I'm assuming the credit card would be retained at the central office and only.
Well, it'll be checked out to them. They will be able to have it with them, correct? After they're checked out and they sign them out, they'll be able to have them with them.
Yeah, we'll have to work through that and see
Yeah.
exactly how we can set up the payroll control.
Yes.
Dr. Gardner, on the city council, we have to sign out, sign back.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll look at that a little bit more closely because, you know, with the travel and things, I know for supervisors, they use that and they carry it with them. But if would we like to put more control on that? I mean, they're not really going to, most of the time when they're making their plans, they would use it and then do that, but they have to get a PO prior.
I just didn't
to
know
be
if
able
it
to do
was
that.
like if the PO, if they do that through the high school, they have to do that up here. I know supervisors use this up here. I just didn't know
They
if they
do.
were doing the same process or whatever, but that's,
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Item on the floor, approve the issuance of credit cards for Elizabethton City Schools principals. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve amended and restated XQ grant agreement by and between XQ Institute and Elizabethton High School. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Alex and John, if you would come on up.
As you're walking up, I want to take a minute and thank Mr. Campbell for sending out the email today, very kindly offering to answer questions. I don't know how many people took him up on it, but I think I monopolized about 45 minutes of his time. So I appreciated that.
I know it's a really long contract, over 26 pages, but, so I tried to make a little something that maybe can boil some of that down for you guys.
Thank you. Let me move that.
It's okay.
you guys have the full thing there. But just to look at a few of the things, it's got the total budget, and I broke it down into the 4 major areas so you could kind of see where the money's being spent, so you can see those there. And some highlights in there that I was really excited about, $20,000 for students to attend some competitions, share their work. We're hoping to get some kids on some state and some national spotlights. We know that there's always a struggle to kind of get enough funds for those kids. So we like that. $25,000 for classroom materials and instructional supports, which you guys know is always a struggle with schools. And then $22,500 to help out with some collaborative classroom furniture, which again, our furniture, a lot of times it's old and there's not a lot in the budget for that. And then $15,000 for technology supports for our students to use. So those are just some of the highlights on those things. Does anybody have any maybe questions about major areas or anything? Something else I wanted to highlight was all the opportunities for our students. And in this agreement, we have some ways for students to travel and learn, and we have actually some students and teachers leaving next week for Memphis. We'll do that again in the spring. We have another school exchange. It's probably going to be either Florida or Washington, D.C. area. Also, our students get to take the pre-SAT, the National Merit Scholar Qualifying Test, and the SAT at no cost to them, which is a good thing. And then, of course, we've also been able to bring in some groups to work with our students on student voice, collaboration, leadership skills. Also, one of the things we do is we participate in what's called the Student Performance Framework. It's just usually abbreviated SPF, and that is housed at Credo and Stanford. And some of you guys may be familiar with that. They're very big on instructional data. And so what they try to do is not just look at, say, an ACT score, but how are students learning? How are they taking charge of their learning? How are they doing with soft skills, collaboration, leadership, those type of things? So they get to be a part of that. And then also we're able to hire a full-time partnership director to replace the one that left, and we were able to get somebody who has actually had about 20 years in college admissions counseling, which our students said was their #1 need when we polled them last month. So I'm really excited that we're going to be able to do that for them and create some new partnerships. The most recent one was with MIT, and they actually came into town. They'll be in town a couple weeks from now. And they actually got to work with some of our students who were interested in going there a few weeks ago. So those are some good things for students. And also, if you look at the agreement, there's a lot of things in there about teacher leadership opportunities. So trying to build the teachers that we have, teach them how to be leaders, give them opportunities to kind of work on their professional development. And so we've already got some of these teams going right now on page 2, a vision, mission, graduate profile. They're almost finished with the work, and 16 teachers got to participate in that. And there'll be 4 more teams starting here in the next couple months. So that's about 33 teachers that actually are going to be paid to kind of work and develop solutions and things to help our school. The next page, I just got to thinking about this today, and in the last, you see a couple from 2017 early on, but most of them are from last year and this year, that I just wrote down all those opportunities. I think it's about 35 staff members. I think I have 33, but actually I think including 2 from our central office staff, it's 35. And they've been able to attend 12 national conferences, go to 11 different states, and 6 school visits, and that's no cost to the school. All those are through XQ grant funds. Those are things that we probably wouldn't have money for if we didn't have the grant. And then also a lot of student travel and learning has been going on. You can see they've been to San Francisco, D.C., Nashville, Washington, D.C. again, Memphis, different places like that. And about 50 of our students have been able to travel and attend some things that, again, usually would either take a lot of fundraising or just wouldn't be able for a lot of our students to have the opportunity to do. So anyway, there's some things about the grant, what it allows us to do, what it provides for teachers, what it provides for students, opportunities and things like that. And you guys, of course, have the big, long, the whole thing there. But is there any questions maybe about the agreement or anything in there?
Just, I apologize when Ms. Barrett sent out. When you tried to read it, it was so grainy you couldn't see a whole lot. So I finally got a new copy this morning, so I haven't had a chance to really look at it. Yeah. So I guess I'm just asking, what are the major changes? This is pretty much it, what you just went over. Nothing else different from what last year's.
Well, yeah,
Contract
now,
was?
yes, it's renegotiated each year. So last year, we had one, and this year, we have a different one. And so what we have to do is look at improvement and kind of what the school needs. And then we create those milestones, and then we submit those to XQ. They do not give us the milestones, we give them to them. Sometimes they actually pare them down because they think maybe it's too much, they don't want too much on us. And then we just put those in the agreement. So there are, is it 9 milestones? They're on an appendix. You know which appendix that is in front of you? I can try to dig it out, but.
Please, I'd like to know what those are.
Yeah, they're right here. This is just my copy, but you can have that. And it's Exhibit B. So if you guys have the digital, it should be Exhibit B there. But just off the top of my head, I know that some of them are develop second level of leadership in our teachers, which we talked about. A lot of those grant funds going to that. Improve communication at the school. That's with within the school, but also with students and parents. And it seems like, although technology should make those things easier, it seems like it's getting harder and harder because there's so many different ways that people get their news now instead of just taking the newspaper like they used to. There's also some things in there about continuing to work with our students, voice, leadership, those type of things. There's things about travel for our teachers to go out and learn from other schools and site-based learning. So those are a few that I remember off the top of my head, but you should have all of them there. Are you seeing them, Ms. Booher? I see you look at me.
I'm getting there. I was
Okay.
late to the thing I was writing.
Okay. Mr. Pless, a longer answer. So yes, each year as the contract is renegotiated, the milestones need to change in accordance with what school feels like we need to work on. So they should be at least some difference, sometimes maybe a lot of difference each year.
Is everybody looking or questioning?
Yeah, how long will this contract be for? Is it a year?
Yeah, it's a year. It ends fiscal year, right, June 30. And so we hope to have this in place by the July board meeting, but there was some legal issues that we had to go back and forth on, considering they're in California, we're in Tennessee. And so Dr. G could answer a little bit more about that, but the lawyer had to spend some time on it, and they had to go back and forth and clarify some language. So that's why it didn't get voted on at the July board meeting.
And just to give you an update on that, there were some things with our insurance company making sure that it was taken care of, and they have a couple sets of attorneys, and they came back and forth on that. So they're satisfied. Our insurance company is satisfied. So, but lots of different language. Now we're hoping in the future, as much work as we've done on it this year, there will not be as much time spent this next round. A lot of the things have been ironed out, and so hopefully in the future we're going to be looking more at what are the performance milestones and what's the budget and what's the money coming in and how we're going to use it to help our teachers and kids.
What, number 8, Mr. Campbell, what's the graduate profile?
Okay, graduate profile is kind of something trendy that's come on in the last few years, but we all are kind of familiar with state standards with what kids are supposed to memorize or know. Graduate profile are more like characteristics that we want our students to have. So the school's kind of been going through that. You know, do you want them to be creative or good collaborators or good speakers? So we have all these standards from the state about knowledges to memorize, but that was something that as a school we thought these are characteristics that we would like to have in our students. So there's actually been faculty work on that as far as kind of what we hope to produce as far as a human being when they graduate. Yeah, and that goes along with mission and vision. They kind of all three go together.
Will those be integrated into certain classes, or how?
Well, it should be integrated in everything we do, like a mission statement or a vision statement. If we say, just for example, that we want our students to be collaborators, then that should be something that as they graduate, they should have been working on the whole time they're with us. So hopefully those things are kind of ingrained kind of in our culture, I guess I'd say. It wouldn't be that there would be like a specific things they would have to do in each class, but it's something that kind of, as a faculty, we would just want to work on with our students because we felt it was important. So those have been staff created, and they're not quite done yet. November the 1st is time to have those completed, but there's been a lot of work done on that since the first professional development day.
And you said that was something that faculty has worked on?
Yeah, and Mr. Minton can maybe say more about that. He kind of headed up those three committees.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the year, the first day of school, back for teachers on Monday, we convened at Doe River Gorge and spent half a day really talking about what our vision and mission could look like. Although we had a really good one that a lot of people had spent a lot of hard work on in the past with our vision and mission, in addition to the grad profile work, we just kind of broke that down and started from scratch to see if there were ways that we could either condense that into something that was easier to read and easier to understand. And just to revisit that, I believe it was since the SACS committee, since the last time that came through, maybe that was the last time it was looked at, so we just wanted to reevaluate it. And from that, we had 16 teachers who volunteered at the time to say that we wanted to carry this work forward. It was a lot of information because every staff member and every teacher was able to come and participate. And so we had a lot of information that came into one place in the form of like sentences and statements about who we wanted to be, what our parents should look like, what our students should be doing, what we should be doing, what our culture should look like. And so from those 4 things and a lot of information, those 16 people carried out the work over the last 2.5 months to try to narrow that down into a vision and a mission. And then we brought on the grad profile team. And those are those 33 people that Mr. Campbell mentioned earlier that have been contributing to that work, so that we can just have something that's kind of wrapped all in together about who we are now, how we're going to get there, where we want to go, and what our student product is going to look like when they graduate.
I know there's a lot of dates and things, and I know some of it, I've been to the web page and looked and found some of the things that were on here that said they would have and everything, but you're on track on all those dates and everything like that, because not doing that, I'm assuming, would cause an issue.
Of course, yeah, we do want to stay with those dates. We actually created those dates for ourselves, and so it's something that we felt we could do. But if there ever was an issue, and we had this come up last year, there is an accounting at the end of the year where you come back to XQ, and if you didn't maybe accomplish it the way you felt like you should, you just kind of justify maybe why that didn't happen. So I don't think it would maybe necessarily void the contract or anything, but it's something that we have out there that we try to fulfill. And we look at these about once a month and make sure we're on track to get those done.
Is this the second year of a 3-year?
It's the second year of a 5-year. So the first year was just a grant gift of $200,000, but when it went to whole school, and it was the 2.3 over 5 years. So this would be the second year of a 5-year. Now it's renewable each year, but second year of a 5-year, yes.
Eddie, one of the things, like to speak to what you talked about when I had a chance to get to talk to the folks and talk to some of the other folks from the other schools, one of the things that I thought was really great with XQ is they understand that you're dealing with humans and you can't control everything, and so they're not like sitting up there going, you didn't meet it, you're out. They're very gracious and understand that we're all trying to, we're creating we're in a new territory, and some things work and some things don't. Some things look great on paper. You can't always make them, they can't always work when you add people into it. And that was the thing that was so impressive for me, was that they weren't sitting up there just waiting for people to mess up. They were like so genuinely hoping that they were just appreciative that we're out there trying these new techniques and having that support and knowing that just because something we do doesn't match up, we're out. I mean, they're very gracious to kind of work with all the schools and schools share ideas and a lot of times, you learn by failure. So that was the thing that I took away from it, was just their genuine, really hoping that, all of us are finding ways to kind of reinvent high school and when things don't work, it's kind of like, I remember Mr. Smith used to always tell the students, if it didn't work, what do you do? Do you stop or do you reevaluate and figure things out? So, and I appreciate the fact that you guys are looking at it monthly to see where you are and trying to stay on track and everything. That's great.
Yeah. Anything else? I know there's a lot, so any questions? I mean, it is. I read through it a couple times, and it's a lot.
Just making sure. So these 9 milestones right here is what we're responsible for this next year.
Mm-hmm.
That you gave.
Mm-hmm. Yep. absolutely.
Felicia, you said that you were able to rescan it and it was a little bit clearer. Could you send that out to everybody else? Thank you. That'd be great.
Need a motion to approve? We've already made that.
Yep.
All right.
Everybody,
Call for a vote.
everybody ready? All right. Item on the floor, approve amended and restated XQ grant agreement by and between XQ Institute and Elizabethton High School. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Next item is approved travel for teacher/student exchange with fellow XQ Super School Crosstown High in Memphis, Tennessee on October 23rd through 25th, 2019 for 4 male students, 2 freshmen and 2 sophomore, and 2 EHS teachers, Mr. Dan Mills and Mr. Virgil McKee, to accompany the students on the exchange as chaperones. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you to Mr. Mills and Mr. McKee for accompanying our students. This is an opportunity for our students to work with other schools and give them an opportunity to see different cultures. And it's one of the things that XQ is doing, not just in our area, but doing other places to try to get students together to talk about important issues to them. And so we think it'll be a fantastic trip for them.
Is Crosstown the school that's inside like a shopping or
Kind of.
not in a shopping center, but kind of like a,
There might be a few questions. So,
yeah.
Crosstown High is part of what's called Crosstown Concourse, which used to be the old Sears building that shipped out everything east of the Mississippi. So you can imagine a huge building, but it closed down in 90-something. So what the city of Memphis has done is try to create a kind of a vertical community or a vertical village. And so there's like hundreds of stores, there's social services, there's restaurants, and there's a school there too. So actually the students will be staying upstairs in apartments, and actually some of the students live upstairs. The principal used to live there, and then they'll actually be coming down to school on the 3rd floor at Crosstown. It's a really neat place. So I think it's going to be a unique opportunity for our students to go there, but we're also getting their students and teachers as well. So a lot of their students have never seen mountains or snow. So it's going to be really neat for them and a different culture. And of course the teachers are going to be sharing. We're going to be setting up some PD between our teachers and their teachers so that we can all learn from each other and the students can have a good learning experience too.
When are their students and faculty coming here?
Okay, this is actually pretty neat. So they'll be coming in the 23rd. That's a Wednesday night. They'll be here Thursday, and they'll be here Friday as well. And they do not have football at their school, and they said that was their #1 request. And the students are really excited about could they see a football game. So actually, it's senior night. We'll have senior night pep rally. We'll have all the senior night activities, and then they're going to go to the game. And so they're actually really excited about being able to see a football game and my personal opinion, there's really no better atmosphere than Elizabethton for a good football game. So I think the students are really going to be blown away.
We're going to have to get them some shirts.
I don't want to give anything away, but I think they're going to feel like adopted Cyclones when
Oh,
they leave. I
that's
think
great.
they're really going to enjoy it. But if anybody has any questions about the trip or
Where will
anything.
they be staying?
So actually, they're going to be staying at Meredith Valley Cabins. We thought that would be really beautiful for kids who come from a very urban setting to just have, like right there on the river. It's going to be 3rd week in October. The leaves are going to be changing. It's going to be really nice. So our kids are going to get a real kind of experience, like maybe what it would be like to go to school in a big city. And I hope their students get kind of that small town atmosphere that they get from being up here in the mountains.
Oh, that's so
Should
cool.
be good. Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
I only have one question, and it's going to seem kind of odd, but why did we specify male, and how did that come to be?
Okay, so they started as a school. They kind of rolled their enrollment up. So they had freshmen last year. They added, so the freshmen are now sophomores this year. And the executive director down there just felt that maybe his parents would feel a little bit more at ease because the school was kind of new to have all boys come one semester, all girls come one semester.
So we are going to make it equal.
Yes, the girls. It
Sorry,
actually,
as a gynecologist, I'm a woman's advocate.
Yeah.
I just think
On
it
the
shouldn't
XQ
specify-
agreement, we've already got it worked out with them that the girls will be coming in the
Just
in the
making
spring.
sure.
Yeah, and then we're hoping if this goes well, and we think it will, do it with some other schools. We already had offers from schools in the Washington D.C. area who are very tech-centered schools, and that'd be a different kind of experience for them as well. So hopefully this is going to go really well. We'll learn and do it even better, and maybe we can work some other opportunities for our students and teachers in to maybe experience some really cool things.
When I read that, my curiosity was piqued as to why we specified.
Yeah,
We usually don't specify in.
I let Crosstown pick. I think they said males this time, females the next time. I don't know why, but yeah, they're both going to get that chance. Don't worry.
All right.
Well, Dr. Bay hasn't had a memorable quote in a while. He's overdue.
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
yeah,
There you go.
that'll get us through for a little while.
Anything else? But hope maybe we can have them come up to a board meeting if you'd like to hear from them, maybe in the future, and maybe talk about their experience across town.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe
I
you
know
guys
their
can hear about it.
school had, I mean, things are okay there. I know they had some
Yeah,
interesting things
yeah.
go on recently.
Yeah, they had, I think, 50 or something students, which was kind of cool. They kind of, I think Crosstown's a school that kind of works with empowering their students. And when they saw something that, I don't know, I guess they weren't happy with, but they did it in a very professional way. And I talked with one of the staff down there, and they said everything's really good. They've worked with the kids, and I think it's going to be great for the kids to really learn from each other. I think, you know how when you visit other places, you're really happy to be there, then you also kind of realize how special the place is you're from as well. So I think both of the students will maybe get a really good appreciation for what they have here, but also appreciate what other people have.
How did did the students apply? How did that happen?
Well, we basically, of course, there were certain requirements, like it was males and it was only freshman and sophomore. I basically just went to the teachers who had all the freshmen and sophomores and kind of laid out what we were looking for. It didn't have to be the greatest student or straight A's. We were looking for students who had really embraced the opportunity to travel and were really good at making friends and can get along with anybody and really kind of embrace the chance to go and visit. So I kind of told the teachers kind of what we're looking for. They gave us a list of about 16. I approached those students, and believe it or not, it actually turned out 4, 2 freshmen, 2 sophomore that were able to go at that time. A lot of people had extracurriculars or things going on, so it just turned out that's kind of how it worked out.
Cool. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, item on the floor, approved travel for teacher-student exchange with fellow XQ Super School Crosstown High in Memphis on October 23rd to 25th. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item is, oh, this one's unusual. Reject bid number ECSS FY 2019-2020-02 for the EHS courtyard renovations. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. And have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, this item, the reason we rejected the bid was we had one bidder, and the amount of renovation cost is huge. And so what we're going to try to do is bring this back to the board, maybe coupled with another project, to see if it will drive the price down. So what we would do is attach it onto another project, bid it as an alternate, and see if more companies might come in and be interested in doing a larger project. Now, the bidder that we talked to on the day we did the bid opening, they have a lot of overhead to bring in and do construction on small jobs. But if we have a larger job that encompasses more, they're not duplicating overhead, and they could possibly, it would drive the cost down. I can't estimate the actual cost of what the project might be, but $164,000, when I talked with our architect about it, I mean, it's very inflated from what we're going to do on that project. So you'll likely see it again at some point, and we can decide, and in amongst looking at other projects that we need to do, how we're going to move forward with it. But I felt that this bid was just completely out of sight. So we've got to make sure that we're using every dollar we have. But I do want to reiterate that we want an art space for our kids. That's very of the utmost importance because we have so many kids involved in the arts. And so this would help us get that for them. What we've already done is been able to do a small portion of that, and they're using it 3 to 4 days a week right now. So it is being used. We know that it's needed, but we just can't pay twice the amount to get a job done. So we're going to repackage it and see what we can do, but I'll ask the board to reject it for this evening based on that.
You know why one company. I would think some smaller companies, that would be a pretty good project for them to
Yeah.
make some money up. It's just unusual to have only one company bid on it.
And what we're finding is there's so much work out there right now. Any project that we're bidding out, we're having a difficult time. People are getting $1 million contracts instead of these small ones, so we're just going to try to strategize a little bit.
Economy is bouncing back.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? All right, item on the floor, reject bid number ECSS FY 2019-2020-02 for the EHS courtyard renovations. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item. Moving on me. There we go. Approve first reading of board policy 5.301, emergency legal leave as revised. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, I kind of asked the board to take just a second and look at that particular board policy because we came upon this kind of by accident, but at the same time, it was one that had a interesting backstory. Although rare, we have some of our faculty who are chosen for jury duty. And during the process of being chosen for jury duty, some of it's local, some of it's federal. Normally federal, depending on where you are, could be a long stint. And what's happened is, and Mr. Trent could probably tell you a little bit more about his experience. He's on for 18 months at grand jury. He's there at least 1 day a month, possibly 2 days a month. But what ends up happening is during that period of time, the jury duty pay for federal is pretty high, about $50. Well, what happens is, in our normal policy, the way it's written, that person comes back, they give the money back to the school system because they're paid for that day. However, when it comes W-2, or when they get a W-2, that comes through, they may earn $600 or $700, have to pay tax on it, and not receive any of the money. And so because jury duty is a pretty nominal fee, and if you're driving from here to Greenville and you get $50, it about covers your gas to go down there. What we're going to ask the board to do is look at line 11 and 12. If an employee is summoned for jury duty, she shall present written evidence that he or she has been summoned for the jury. The employee shall be entitled to usual compensation less the amount paid by court. And what we would ask would be that the board would allow us to put a period where the comma is and just say, the employee shall be entitled to the usual compensation. And what that would do in cases like the one where Mr. Trent or someone else down the line who is doing their civic duty, they would just be compensated and then they would be taxed on that money, okay? Rather than having to give the money back and then being taxed on the money, because they have no benefit and it's actually penalizing them. So, does anyone have an issue with that? Concerns, questions? In the case of local jury duty, it's about $11, so it's a very small amount. So.
Anybody have questions, comments? Item on the floor, approve first reading of board policy 5.301, emergency legal leave as revised. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, last item, approve first reading of board policy 6.300, code of conduct as revised. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
You'll probably see that this was last revised in 2018. The only thing that we had to add was, if you look down line 25, we had to add a trauma-informed practice or program we were going to use. And I will say thank you to everyone for doing the training we've done over the past couple years. but we've chosen to go with RTI-2B to be our support that we're going to give students for discipline. We would have a system there. Now, we have some training we have to do, especially at the junior high and high school. We've had some training for our elementaries already. And in fact, Mr. Wright and Westside was awarded the bronze medal for implementing that, going to the training. So from the University of Tennessee. So that'll be on social media coming out. So we're proud of them. But that's the only real change to the code of conduct, is we had to pick one, and we've picked one.
May I have any questions or comments? All right, item on the floor, approve first reading of Board Policy 6.300, Code of Conduct as revised. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Next regular scheduled board meeting will be Tuesday, November 19th, 2019, 6:30 here in the Mac Pierce boardroom. Don't forget, big game Friday night. Got bands, competitions, all that stuff coming up. Our liaison is at band practice tonight, which she very sweetly asked if she could miss the board meeting to go practice, and I gave her our blessing. So if I could get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Good evening.